Hi, this is Rick Storley from Game Day Coaching, and I want to welcome you back as a member. And we're going to continue our conversation on market positioning and how to attract home buyers through building the value of your company through differentiation. This video, we're talking more about creating a category for yourself. Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a pretty big football fan, and I live in Minneapolis, so I'm a big Viking fan. And one of my favorite marketers of all time, Seth Godin, wrote this little book called The Dip. And it was a book all about quitting. And in the beginning of the book, he talked about a very famous quote from Vince Lombardi, the infamous Green Bay Packers coach. And Lombardi once said that winners never quit and quitters never win. And Godin said, that's really stupid advice because if you're going to be the best at something, you have to quit all the other things that you're doing that you're not very good at. Let me explain it like this. Let's use an example of selling a home. When you sell a home, three things can happen. Number one, you can build the home, you can put it on the market, you can put all your time and resources into it and not have it sell. That's called a cliff. It's like, why even try because you're falling off a cliff? Okay, so you could build the home, you could put it on the market, you could not do anything with it. Let's say give it to your realtor and list it and, cross your fingers and hope and pray it sells. And it could sit there for months and perhaps even have a couple of birthdays until the banker comes knocking on the door and says, hey, what are we going to do here? Well, a lot of us have been down that road. That's called a cul-de-sac or a dead end. And number three, you could put the home on the market with a realistic plan to sell it. You go through the struggle of getting it sold, but ultimately you're going to sell the home, you're going to get paid. That's called a dip. So the idea is this: the larger the category, the larger the dip. Meaning that if you want to go into your general marketplace and say, I want to be the largest builder here, you're trying to take off a very big chunk of your particular marketplace. And so the larger the dip. Now, it also can lead to a larger reward, can't it? But if you take on a market where you can't survive, ultimately you're going to end up in a cul-de-sac or you're going to fall off a cliff. So the idea is are you doing the right things now to position your company to take advantage of this new marketplace? And with the internet, specialization is the new rule of the day. Now look at it this way. What if you took on a smaller category and you'd have a smaller dip? In other words, what if you don't try to take on the at-large market, instead take on a small market or category? Well, the smaller the dip, the smaller or larger the reward. Look at it this way. The dip is much easier to survive. So if you're going to specialize in something, or in those of you in a small market, I know you're thinking right now, I can't specialize. I have to do everything. Well, you can specialize in the way that you operate your business, in the customer experience that you deliver to people, in the reputation in the community that you work so hard to achieve. You can specialize in that, and when you do that and you create a category for yourself, you attract people that are not only interested in doing business with you, they're willing to pay you for it. So if you're going to be a generalist and be a general contractor, you're generally attracting people interested in paying the lowest price. But when you're a specialist, you're attracting people that have a perception that what you do is better than anyone else, and they're willing to pay you more money for it. So my suggestion is focus on being number one or number two in a small category. Become that specialist. Now, how do you create a category? Well, there's two ways. You focus on your prospects' psychographic and demographic profiles. Let's look at psychographic variables, psychographic categories. It's any attribute relating to personality, values, attitudes, interests, or lifestyles. Now, when you get a complete assessment of a person or a group psychographic makeup, it's called a psychographic profile. And there's roughly 8 of them, and I'll show you the 2 that matter as it relates to new homes and remodeling sales. Now here's an example of a category. You got social class and you got lifestyle. Now, is the US a class-based society? Of course we are. It all relates to income. Now, demographic categories, pretty much what you're thinking. You can target races as in minorities, ages, incomes, disabilities, educational attainment, and of course, most importantly, is location. All of you right now have a specialty in that you target a certain location or locations.